faculty, friends, family, and distinguished guests. Welcome to one of the highlights of the school year, at least one of my highlights, and that is Women and Gender Studies graduation, where this year we will also be presenting our scholarships and awards. My name is Celeste Montoya, and I am an assistant professor in the Women and Gender Studies program. And today I have the privilege, something we are very cognizant about in this program, of being your Master of Ceremony. We have what we hope will be a wonderful ceremony planned for you today. On stage with me are our faculty and our affiliate faculty. To start us off, it is my pleasure to introduce the Director of Women and Gender Studies program, Professor Robert Buffington.
Thank you, Sarah. And thank you, everyone, for coming. As you can probably tell from just the number of people here, this is a small, the Women in Gender Studies is a small program that has some real benefits. And one of those benefits is we have this wonderful venue in which we get to celebrate graduation. And one of the other benefits, and this is probably one of our principal benefits, is that we get to know and appreciate our students as individuals. And that's a big thing. But one of the things that gets lost in a world in which we have slogans like, just do it, and be all you can be, is that none of us got here without help. And the help is not just a simple thing. Help involves real sacrifices. Sometimes it's easy. Sometimes it's just taking your child's phone call and, oh, that's great, and I'm glad you're doing well. But sometimes it involves real financial sacrifices. My daughter's a CU student, so I know the sacrifices that many of you have made. And it involves real sacrifices. So I would like to take this time out to thank, first of all, our wonderful students. Thanks to each and every one of you. You really made our lives. And I'm not just saying that, we really do have wonderful students. And then thanks to the parents, because without your help, none of them would have gotten here. And so I want to extend special thanks to the parents, to your families, to your extended families, your brothers, your sisters, your aunts, your uncles, your grandparents, all of the extended families that help enrich our lives and help us get to the place where we are today. And then, of course, to all of your friends, because without your friends, you wouldn't be here. So we've got a wonderful program. I don't want to just drone on and on. So just a big thank you to everyone that's in this room. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rob, for that warm opening. The University of Colorado Boulder became home to one of the country's first Women and Gender Studies program in the early spring of 1974. Amidst the early activism of the second wave, its formation resulted from the tireless commitment and enthusiasm of both students and faculty. Over the years, it has grown and transformed in small ways and in big ways. In 1989, the program found a permanent home in Cottage Number 2, one of the second oldest buildings on campus. This is the first one. It was an old women's dormitory built in 1884, and the program has remained there ever since. Now officially the Hazel Gates Woodruff Cottage, it is still fondly referred to as the Cottage. In the 1980s, students could focus on women's studies under the American Studies program, but it wasn't until 1998 that the program was granted its own independent major. Not long afterwards, we added a graduate certificate program. The most recent change came to the program in 2006, when the Women's Studies program became the Women and Gender Studies program. This change was made to reflect the evolution of a program that now goes far beyond the traditional conceptualizations of just women's issues. Our commencement speaker today is someone who has played an important role in the evolution of the program and to the study of women and gender studies more broadly. I now would like to invite Hilary Montague-Asp, one of our outstanding graduating seniors, on stage to introduce our commencement speaker.
Joanne Belknap is a Colorado native, born in Denver, graduated from CU in 1981, and from Michigan State with her doctorate in 1986. She's particularly interested in the trajectory of trauma to offending and has numerous scholarly publications, most of which involve violence against women and girls and incarcerated women and girls. Dr. Belknap is currently working on the 4th edition of her book, The Invisible Woman: Gender, Crime, and Justice. She has served on state advisory boards for female offenders and women in prison, gave expert testimony to the Warren Christopher Commission investigating the Rodney King police brutality incident in Los Angeles, and served as a pro bono advisor on criminal justice policy for President Obama. Dr. Belknap has won numerous research, teaching, and service awards, served on the executive board of the American Society of Criminology, and is currently running for the presidency of this organization. Her current research project is a study of the onset of trauma, mental illness, and offending among women in jail. In addition to all of this, Joanne is an incredible professor, mentor, and role model for many students on the CU-Boulder campus, including myself. I have taken 4 semesters of classes with Joanne and have learned an incredible amount about my identities as a feminist and social justice activist. Not only does Joanne foster a welcoming, informative, and hilarious classroom environment, but she has also helped me to mold my feminist lens into one that pushes back on authority, is not afraid of necessary confrontation, laughs a lot at myself and the system, and also into one that incorporates the intersectionalities of race, class, sexuality, and ability to effectively use my privilege to create positive change. Joanne's authentic, warm, and generous presence is an imperative part of both academic and activist culture on this campus, and I would not be where I am today without her pushing and supporting me the entire way. So, without further ado, please join me in welcoming the amazing professor, activist, and mentor, Joanne Belknap.
That would be great coming from anybody. And Hillary is just, any of you who know how amazing she is. Hillary, you told me to try to be funny. I was kind of worried that the parents would think, oh my God, that's not funny, that's inappropriate, that's libel, and I pay tuition for that. Be that as it may, I'm going to try to be a combination of funny, short, and inspirational. And I think I might take my hat off because it's going to fall off. I have a funny story with graduation, unless you are my mother. I was kicked out of my high school graduation for the senior prank, but I think it was really because they were looking for a way to kick me out after I'd been voted to do the benediction by my graduation class up at Middle Park High School in Granby. I was very excited about the benediction. It sounded really important, but then I was told that the benediction was a prayer, and indeed it was to be a Christian prayer. And I told them I was agnostic, and I picked a really cool American Indian poem, and they said, no, you have to read a Christian prayer. And I said, no, this is a public school, and there's separation of church and state. One thing led to another. The next thing I knew, my mother, who was in my principal's Bible study reading class, was in the office, and I wasn't graduating with my class. So then I came to, that whole year had been sort of like this, that my senior year up in the mountains, and so then I decided I wasn't going to college, but my mother applied for me here, and she got me a scholarship here. And everyone wanted me out of the house, and here I was. And so I came here very ill-prepared. Middle Park is much better now, but I was very, very unprepared. And I feel so lucky that the very first semester, one of the first friends I made, and who I'm still really close to, was a woman 9 years older than I am, who used to be a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader, had come to Colorado and kind of become a hippie and been married, and she was the first woman I ever met that told me that she'd been abused by her husband and she had just left him. And she told me about him and being abused. And she also taught me how to study, and I learned a whole lot from her. And she went off and became a nurse. She went back to Texas and became a nurse. And then she became a lesbian midwife. I'm not sure exactly in what order. But I said to her, you never need to be reincarnated, Dallas Cowboy cheerleader to lesbian midwife. You have done it all in this lifetime. And, she really is just an amazing person and does just great work with so many mothers and babies and families, and it's really cool. So then I came here, and that was a good experience, but I managed to get, my sister had told me to go through Rush because she said, you won't join a sorority, but everybody else is going to be going through Rush. And I'm like, okay. And my college roommate's father was a professor from Yale, and she later told me a few months later they were looking out the window as all the sorority recruits were walking by singing the song, and I was at the end and tripped on the sidewalk. And he said, I don't think your roommate's going to be in the sorority, get in a sorority. And he was right. I was kicked out the next day for laughing too hard. So college wasn't exactly starting out the same way. And, but I feel like my education here at CU, I came here in 1976 and finished in 81. I feel like I had a few professors that really changed my life and a few friends that really changed my life. And so even if the whole experience wasn't everything I wanted it to be, it was just such an incredible experience, what the people who did impact me, what an amazing effect they had on me. And it was one class I took that got me interested in incarceration, and that is what I've pretty much been doing for a long time, decades now. I look back at this, I wanted to be a physical therapist. I didn't get into the physical therapy school. I was told it was because I had the second to worst personality according to the Myers-Briggs test. Of the 203 people who had applied. That hurt a little bit. And I did trip going into the office when he was explaining that. He didn't see any humor in that. But when I was a teenager, my dad once said that the coolest thing about being a parent is when you teach your kids something, then they do it better than you do. And to me, this is just such a great job because I feel like the women and gender studies students are just so special, and they have such a reputation. You have such a reputation on campus of just being so smart and such great students and people who come to class and people who are really working for change on and off campus while you're here. And ethnic studies and international studies relations, those students also have a great reputation. I just think that's really important to remember. But to me, it is so exciting to have you in my classes and then have you do these readings that I assign and you see these things in them I didn't see, or I'll be lecturing about something and you have some new input on it. And I just love how critically you think and how engaged you are and how passionate you are about everything. And for my my kind of inspirational part, I hope, I just love hearing from former students too. And last weekend, two of my students, women and gender studies students who graduated in 2004, one lives in DC and the other lives in Denver, and they called to see if I can meet them for brunch. And so for the parents, you'll be glad to know they are gainfully employed, love their jobs, have great lives. They're just amazing. And the two Latina women, they met each other here. One was from Pueblo and one from Denver. One of them is working, has been promoted in foster care in the Department of Health Services in Denver, doing great, and loves the job, has done it ever since she graduated. And the other one works with battered women and other victims of violence in Washington, D.C. They both have absolutely fabulous mates. One has 2 children, the other one's pregnant, and it was just seeing them and seeing them living these amazing lives and doing what they wanted to do, and just hearing about the ways, for example, Gina is helping foster children, and it's really, really inspiring what our graduates do. And so I hope you will all stay in touch. When I was in my first psychology class, they taught this term self-actualization really hit me, and when I was looking it up recently, because I always think about it, was psychologist Abraham Maslow's hierarchy. He did in 1943, it was the highest level. Very sexist language. What a man can be, he must be. This need we may call self-actualization. It refers to the desire for self-fulfillment, namely to the tendency for him to become actualized in what he is potentially. The tendency might be phrased as the desire to become more and more what one is, to become everything that one is capable of becoming. Despite the sexism, or outside of the sexism, I love this. I love this idea, and I remember just reading this and thinking this is something we should all be doing all the time. Dr. Alphonse Keasley, I taught we called it the CU-101 class a few years ago, and we talked about self-reflection with students a lot, which is, and talking about how that should be a lifelong process as well, to constantly be examining ourselves about where are we, what are we doing, are we proud of ourselves, are we happy with what we're doing. And I do not believe there is one mate for us. I talk about this in my violence against women and girls class. I know too many people who are widowed who have two really great relationships. I don't think there's one career that was meant for, if we don't get that career, then we're never going to be happy. I know people that have not been rejected, including myself, from things and gone on to the other things. And I hope that you take with you the sense of adventure and curiosity that I saw in you when you were in my classes. And I just want to end by saying, I can't wait to see who you all become, because I have so loved knowing you, who you are. And you're just amazing, and good luck to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Belknap, for joining us today and helping to honor our graduates. Your work on violence and your passion for social justice and teaching is truly valued. Your tenacity in the face of adversity, as well as your wicked sense of humor, which we all know about, has served you to inspire our students. Now, to represent our seniors, we have 3 student speakers today. This is only appropriate, seeing as how each of our students, all of these students here above, offers a truly unique voice and perspective to our program. Don't worry, they promised to keep it short in order to share the allotted time normally to one speaker. I have had the opportunity to work closely with each of these women, both within and outside of the classroom, on academics and in advocacy. It is a little bittersweet to see them graduate today, because I have learned as much from them as I can only hope that they have learned from me. First up is Jenna Robin.
I'm also going to take it. 3 years ago, when I transferred to this program, I had a very clear idea of what feminism is and what it meant to me. If anyone had asked me why I chose women and gender studies as a major, I would have had a list of all the ways in which women are oppressed and a clear sense of social justice centralized around the major mainstream ideas of feminism and women's rights. I was already passionate about ending violence against women, promoting equal job opportunity and pay, maternity leave and rights. What I didn't know, and what this program has given me, is a clearer and more inclusive idea of what feminism is and what it means for me personally. The department has taught me that the name Women and Gender Studies and even the term feminist can be misleading. They can imply that what we care about, what we learn, and put our passion and effort into are issues that affect only women or even the feminine. But feminism in this department has taught me to question even what the concept of woman, and to challenge ourselves about what that word means, who it affects, and who has claim to it. As feminists, we do care about gender, are motivated towards change and the way that social constructs exist surrounding it. But the feminists of this department also care about race, class, sexuality, able-bodiedness, and so much more. We aim to challenge the societal norms and stereotypes of people and the way that their identities intersect, to push for equality in everyone's lives and create a more peaceful and inclusive community. But as women in gender studies, as majors as we know, we often get a bad rap for that pushing. Being focused on social justice, a lot of us have very vocal and physical presences on this campus. We picket, protest, write letters, we seem angry. But this anger often gives the impression that women in gender studies majors are just angry feminists who go around complaining about everything all the time. So today I want to talk about some of the things that I'm actually thankful for. I am thankful for being pushed. For every uncomfortable moment I have felt in the classroom that has challenged my sense of right and wrong, that has altered the way I see people in the world that I live in, Because of this program, I have learned one of the most valuable gifts anyone could ever be given. I have learned how to see the world through the feminist lens that allows for mistakes, growth, self-reflection, and most importantly, change. It's true that as women in gender studies graduates, we can't exactly watch television or media in the same way that a lot of other people can. We see the way that behavior is often constructed, and at times we get really angry and frustrated. It can be difficult to turn this off and just enjoy something. But that, in and of itself, is a gift. The ability to see this is something that I will take with me, hopefully, into every aspect of my life. In feminist theory class, as a lot of you know, we were taught to see intersectionality much like a rope. To see all the aspects of our identity intertwined and weaving like a rope with various knots, never to be pulled apart, but each distinctly a part of ourselves. Graduating from this program is now a part of our rope. Having this lens will forever impact the way that we view the world and the way that we interact with other people. For that, I am truly grateful.
As I'm looking out at my graduating class, I am filled with a sense of pride, knowing that we're all getting ready to accomplish such great things, and how proud I am of each and every one of you for the accomplishments you've made here at the university. But first, before we recognize our exit from this program, I'd really like to recognize some of the ways that we've grown here in this department and how those will impact our lives as we move on. Today, we're celebrating the passage of our ability to learn facts, to analyze theories, to critique philosophers. But I think one of the most important things that we've learned here is how to discuss and how to engage in dialogue with one another. And I think that it is most important to recognize that it is our ability to disagree in the spirit of learning that is one of our most valuable skills that we'll be taking from this program. As we learn to embrace conflicting ideas and acknowledge the journey of learning, we can embrace other people's views and become more well-rounded people as we engage in feminist and other types of discussion with each other and with our friends and our family. Whether we're getting ready to go to graduate school, get into the military, go travel, enter the work world, or start a family, we will be able to use these skills as we enter into the world outside of this campus. We've created a community here through the desire to seek social justice. Yet we all have perspectives that have challenged the common ground that we hold. And I think this is such a beautiful thing. We have experienced our learning here differently, and we are working to understand each other. And in that, we have taught ourselves how to ask questions and listen with genuine curiosity. Applying this to life outside this campus is necessary for realizing the social justice goals that we've been pursuing thus far. And as we listen to people, we learn to challenge our own assumptions and learn to find them as they are on their own terms. And I think that this is so important. In doing so, it challenges our privileges that we hold. And even when that feels like a conflict, it is necessary for our growth. When we learn to engage in the exchange of ideas, not just talking past each other, that is when our real learning can grow, and we can be heard in the way that we want to be heard, and hear people the way they want to be heard as well. Dialogue is a learning process, though, and it can be difficult and really uncomfortable. It may be hard to hear ideas which we might find objectionable, but it is up to us to work on building those bridges and making efforts to bridge the gaps between divergent opinions. I'd be remiss to say that I've always been someone who's been able to do this. It's definitely an acquired skill. And I have to thank my parents for doing this for me, for teaching me the value of these relationships, even in the face of disagreements. Because building relationships is important if we want to cultivate allies in our work. And we must learn to make sure that we are doing our best to reach out to folks with whom we disagree so that we can learn more about them and ultimately so that they can learn from us as well. Instead of avoiding the conflicts that arise from talking about controversial or hot-button issues, we should all take the opportunities to listen and learn from others. As approaching these situations with an open heart and open mind can help us make connections, it will help us understand the world around us better and will help us understand each other as well. Using the skills and discussion that we have learned here will be of infinite value as we take our next steps, wherever they may be. So congratulations, class of 2012, and never stop engaging in the conflict. Thank you. few years, we've learned a lot about the problems in the world, and we even have some practice working to fix those problems, or at least bring them to people's attention. So now, what can we do with the Women in Gender Studies degree? Why? Change the world, of course. But what does this mean? How do we change the world? You know, I get really irritated when people say things like, change the world, and don't give any specifics about how to do it. But I've been thinking, and those of you who know me will not be surprised to learn that I have a plan. First of all, I think it might be time for us to start thinking about how to take care of ourselves and how to love ourselves. When we spend so much time thinking about all the terrible things that are happening in the world, it's easy to forget to take care of ourselves. But remembering to do things that make us feel great, learning how to appreciate our bodies no matter what they look like, learning how to eat and sleep enough, letting ourselves laugh really hard when things are funny, and cry or scream when things are not funny, learning how to stop spending time with people who make us feel really shitty. I think these examples of radical self-care might be really powerful acts of resistance, because if we're healthy and confident, we'll be able to fight longer and harder and more effectively to change the world. On the other hand, if we don't take care of ourselves, we're more likely to get hurt or burn out. In the long run, engaging in radical self-care is like learning to do a shoulder roll when you jump out of a moving train, instead of just jumping out head first and breaking every bone. And friends, I think we might have some moving trains in our future. Another thing we've got to do, we've got to practice using our discomfort and anger for good. And I just want to tell everyone, it's okay to be offended and really angry and upset, because there are some really troubling and offensive things that are happening in the world. But we need to learn how to channel that anger and turn it into an opportunity. We can't just call people narrow-minded idiots every time they say something hateful. We need to put ourselves in conversation with people who say hateful things. And we need to admit that we say hateful things about people who say hateful things. If we want people to be more open-minded, we need to be open-minded enough to talk to them about what they think. We need to learn how to vehemently disagree with people without completely shutting them down. My point is, if we're really serious about changing the world, we're going to need to get a lot of people on board with that plan. Like, ideally, we need around 7 billion. And in order to get people on board, we have to, talk to them. Even people we don't like. We have to talk to them, and not in a condescending way. I mean, we know we're right. But people tend to find condescension a little off-putting. So, just to recap, please, I beg you, take care of yourselves. Make a commitment to do what it takes to feel healthy and awesome. The world desperately needs healthy and awesome people. And please, practice talking to people you don't agree with. You are some of the most principled, articulate, and passionate people I know. And everyone, not just people you agree with, needs to hear what you have to say.
So that's just a little taste of the amazing human beings that we get to work with every day. I love my job. The Women in Gender Studies program has several scholarships and awards, and it is with great enthusiasm that I announce the recipients. Full descriptions of each award are found on the last page of your program. As a member of the awards committee, I can attest that this year's pool of applicants was particularly strong, making decisions difficult. This certainly is a testament to the excellence of today's recipients. Handing out the awards is Professor Bayer DeVolo, the undergraduate director and the head of the awards committee. So just a means of instructions for our students today. When your name is called, you can come up on stage on this side and receive your award or your degree when it's that time, and then go down those stairs, and Valerie, our wonderful administrative staff person, is going to be taking your picture over there, so smile big, unless you don't want. First up is the Lucille Berkeley Buchanan Scholarship. This scholarship honors Lucille Berkeley Buchanan, the first Black female graduate of the University of Colorado. It is awarded to a student who has demonstrated a commitment towards social justice and who is the first generation in their family to attend college. This year's recipient is Cassie Gonzalez. Cassie is a women in gender studies and sociology major whose ultimate goal is to study and develop new restoration efforts for victims of human trafficking and sexual exploitation. Congratulations, Cassie. Next is the Susanna Chase Memorial Scholarship. This scholarship is dedicated to the memory of Susanna Chase, a CU student who loves studying the issues of women and gender. This award is given to a student who exhibits strong academic achievement and shows a similar commitment to that of Susanna Chase to the study of women and gender. This year's recipient is Elise Matatow. Unfortunately, Elise could not be here today, but it's with good reason. She's currently finishing a study abroad in Bosnia and collecting data for her honors thesis on women's activism in the post-conflict Balkans. Elise is a psychology major and a women and gender studies minor. She is also completing a certificate in peace and conflict studies. So, in absentia, congratulations. Next, we have the Jean Dubofsky Scholarship, given in honor of the first woman to serve on the Colorado Supreme Court and a Boulder attorney who has worked tirelessly on civil rights issues. Jean is here with us today, and we would like to thank her for taking a part in our ceremony. This award is given to a women and gender studies major and is based on an academic record, education and career goals, community and campus service, and a demonstrated commitment to raising awareness of and combating oppression in all its forms. This year's recipient is Sophia Suraj. Sophia is a women and gender studies major and an ethnic studies double major, a member of the Gender Justice League, a diversity mentor for Hallett Hall, and she recently joined the CU chapter of Students Against Modern Day Slavery. Congratulations, Sophia. We look forward to hearing more about the achievements of these scholarship recipients as they complete their studies at CU in the coming semester. Last, but certainly not the least, is a new award that we are very excited to announce this year, the Joanne Easley Arnold Outstanding Senior Award, an award named in honor of a Professor Emerita of the School of Journalism and Mass Communications at the University of Colorado Boulder. It's given for her long-term support of the Women and Gender Studies program. We are so glad to have Dr. Arnold here with us today. This award is given to a graduating Women and Gender Studies major to recognize them for outstanding leadership and service to women and gender studies and to related issues of social justice during their time at CU-Boulder. First, I have to say, there are so many students that are deserving of this award that it's hard to even start. But this person, all in all, this is a passionate and determined group. But this person is one who stands out in many ways. She is one of those leaders that you almost don't recognize as such, because she does such a good job of inspiring people just by being herself, through her sincerity, her compassion, her determination, and her very quirky sense of humor. She leads by example, and she leads with her heart. She has done so much for this department and for the people in it. We will greatly miss her smiling face, which is found so often in the cottage. This year, it is my extreme pleasure to announce our winner, Meg Stairs. Despite a demanding academic schedule, which she has done very well at, she has been an active member of the Gender Justice League, the Women's Studies Student Organization, and Leadership Practicum. This year, she wrote an honors thesis in Women and Gender Studies titled Examining Disparities in Native Women's Health, Formation, Perpetuation, and a Way Forward. She wrote this outstanding thesis in order to prepare for her future work as an activist doctor. Last year, she was a member of the senior colloquium group project called Administrative Smackdown, which I can only guess she named. which focus on advocating for the better implementation of CU's policy on sexual harassment and assault, a cause which she has continued her activism this year. Congratulations, Meg. And now, for the moment that many of you have been patiently, or maybe not so patiently, waiting for, that is the presentation of our graduates. We will start with our graduate certificate. The graduate certificate in Women and Gender Studies is designed as a complement to a graduate disciplinary program. It provides graduate students with the opportunity to think in an interdisciplinary fashion about women and gender, and to learn from a variety of scholarly and methodological approaches. Students in this program come from a wide array of disciplines, more than you'll see today, including but not limited to dance, theater, sociology, political science, communication, journalism, environmental studies, philosophy, and religious studies. Today we have 3 of our graduate certificate students here to participate in the ceremony. Please come up to stage as I read your name. Presenting the students with their graduate certificates is Professor Allison Jagger. James Michael Fortney. James is from the Department of Communications. He is working on a dissertation titled Embodying Risk, a critical analysis of disability in organizational discourse. Rachel Ann Lieberman. Rachel is in the Journalism and Mass Communication program. She is working on a dissertation that will deconstruct the production and consumption practices of feminist pornography through a cultural studies framework. James McDonald. James is from the Department of Communication. He is working on a dissertation entitled Changing the Face of IT in Computing Work, Rebranding Occupational Identities for Gender Diversity. Congratulations to our certificate students. Now we move to our undergraduates. If you are following along in your program, you will notice that there are some names that we will not read off. Some of our graduates are participating in other graduations with conflicting times. We will start with our minors. To earn a Women and Gender Studies minor, you must take a minimum of 21 hours of Women and Gender Studies classes. As our students will attest to, these are not easy classes. They challenge students to think critically, locally as well as globally, and across intersections of race, ethnicity, class, and sexuality. Students, as I start to read your name, please come to the stairs to receive your certificate. For each student, I will be reading a brief statement that they have written, so that's my disclaimer. Presenting the certificates is Assistant Professor D.T. Mister. Vanessa Gordillo. Vanessa is graduating with her double majors in Ethnic Studies and Studio Arts, and a minor in Women and Gender Studies. She is enjoying her last couple of weeks of her undergraduate career before studying for the LSAT and stepping into the realms of the legal system. Jackie Marty. Jackie would like to enjoy much of her summer taking it in stride. She hopes one day to work somewhere that offers help to LGBTQ youth or women and girls who are victims of violence. She also aspires to learn Spanish and travel as much as possible. Lauren Mead. Lauren is graduating with a Women and Gender Studies minor and a psychology major. Being a Women's and Gender Studies minor has opened Lauren's eyes and empowered her in countless ways. She plans to incorporate and embrace these lessons as she moves forward within the field of psychology. Christine Nakwa. As child growing up in war-torn region of Africa, Christine always dreamed of obtaining a higher education. Today is the first phase of achieving her ultimate dream. She will be graduating with a sociology major, women's studies minor, and a peace and conflict certificate. She plans to share her democratic values and beliefs and all she has learned from her time at the University of Colorado in hope of utilizing her education in building and promoting women's development. Amy Wuski. Amy will be graduating this December with an English literature major and a women and gender studies minor. For the rest of the year, she will be busy with classes, job searching, and excitedly planning her May 2013 wedding. She would like to thank her fiancé, Chris, and her dad and mom, Mike and Jennifer, for their continuous love and support. Got a little out of order here for a second. And now for our majors. To earn a major in Women and Gender Studies, students must complete a minimum of 36 credit hours. Our majors take several required classes, including the senior colloquium, where they are given the opportunity to put what they have learned in the classroom into practice. In the past, the classes dealt with issues such as sexual violence and gender identity discrimination. This year, the seniors went in a different direction, one aimed at strengthening the Women and Gender Studies program. In this project, they learned about navigating institutional bureaucracy and working with limited resources. Despite the challenges, they persevered to make a number of important contributions that will directly or indirectly improve the program. One of the groups surveyed a pretty big group of students and about their classroom experiences, and then constructed a list of best practices for instructors, one that they hope spreads beyond the Women's Studies program to all of the campuses. Two of the groups focused on creating more awareness about the program, one focusing on the LGBT certificate program and the other on the program as a whole. Finally, one group worked on fundraising. They would like you to know that if you are feeling generous today, you can check out the Women and Gender Studies webpage or a pamphlet that they've put together that will be upstairs. And they'll be happy to tell you more about the Student Professional Development Fund that they've been working on. This is a bright group of women who I expect to do amazing things. It is an honor as well as a great privilege to introduce our graduating seniors, earning a major in Women and Gender Studies. Presenting their degrees is Professor Lorraine Fire-DeVolo. Anna Alford. Anna is graduating in Women and Gender Studies and Sociology. She is not sure what she's going to do yet, but she, along with this professor, know it's going to be something awesome. Julia Baldino. Julia graduated from Women and Gender Studies this past December, and since then has been working as a nanny, living in a housing co-op in downtown Boulder, and exploring her passion of doing birth work. If it was not for her professors, courses, and classmates in this wonderful program, Julia would not have discovered her path of serving and caring for women. Rachel Blanchard. Rachel is excited to leave CU with a degree in Women and Gender Studies, which she believes will help her in her passion and lifelong goal of helping others. She is thankful for the new perspectives and critical thinking skills she has received through the program, as well as the people who have helped her reach her goals thus far in life. Hannah Tuttle. Hannah is graduating with a double major in Women and Gender Studies and Anthropology, and will be commissioned in the United States Army on May 11th, tomorrow, as a second lieutenant, where she will be stationed in Oahu, Hawaii. She wants to thank her mother for not only listening to her long rants on social injustice, but also encouraging her in every obstacle she has taken, from running her first marathon, to joining the Army, to getting her degree in Women and Gender Studies. She has high ambitions in the Army and plans on seeing or being the first woman allowed into infantry. Janelle Degree. Janelle is graduating with a major in Women and Gender Studies and Psychology. Her Women and Gender Studies major has provided her with a feminist lens, allowing her to view the world in a new light. She would like to thank her family for supporting her through the past 4 years and giving her a strong foundation to grow from. Layla Forshee. Layla hopes for a life full of learning and love. Her aspirations include superhero, cape included, world liberator, and mother of the millennium. Without the love and support from her friends and family, Layla would not be the mosaic of progression and compassion she is today. She would also like to note the sacrifices and understanding she has received from her 3 amazing daughters. Jenny Koenig. Jenny is president of Triota, the Women and Gender Studies Honor Society, and a former member of the Gender Justice League. This summer, she will be working on getting her paralegal certificate to study immigration and family law. She will also be spending the summer enjoying the Colorado sun, perfecting her recipe for her famous rhubarb pie, and brewing beer from Wild Hops. Kayla Martin. After 7 years of college, Kayla is finally, graduating with a degree in Women and Gender Studies, as well as a history minor. This major has given her the tools to set out and prove women can do everything men can do, only better. In the meantime, she will be traveling in the Pacific Northwest to teach elite wilderness survival courses to at-risk youth. After she returns, Kayla plans on going to fire science school in order to achieve the ultimate goal of becoming a smoke jumper. Here's an exciting group. Lauren Mason. Lauren is graduating cum laude in Women and Gender Studies, along with a degree in Ethnic Studies and a minor in Technology, Arts, and Media. After graduation, she will be working as a project lead in the Joint Institute for Laboratory Astrophysics on campus, where she has worked for the past 3 years. After graduation, Lauren plans to spend time with her lovely partner, Laura, immerse herself in feminist and queer theory, and strive for balance and harmony throughout her life. Sarah McCullough. Sarah is graduating summa cum laude in Women and Gender Studies and Political Science. After graduation, she will work while studying for the LSAT in order to prepare for law school. She would like to thank her parents, Burl and Julie McCullough, her boyfriend Jesse, Granny Maxine, her wonderful friends and family who have supported her along the way, and the faculty of the department who have provided her guidance and wisdom throughout her undergraduate career. Allison Melvin. This summer, Allison is traveling to Cuba, I'm very jealous, through CU for her final credits. Upon return, a 3-month road trip begins and will end in Alaska, also jealous again, where she plans to further pursue a number of interests, including brewing beer and studying criminology. Kelsey Messer. Kelsey will be graduating with a double major in psychology and women and gender studies. She is excited for God to reveal what He has planned for her after graduation and hopes to use her past experiences and her education here at CU to pursue a way to bring healing to women who are in need of it. With the love of her family and friends, she will be happy no matter where she ends up. Hillary Montague asks, after 4 amazing years at CU, Hillary is graduating with a double major in Women and Gender Studies and magna cum laude in Sociology, as well as with certificates in Peace and Conflict Studies and LGBT Studies. She's been busy. In the fall, she will be moving to Amherst, Massachusetts to pursue a master's degree in social justice education and will also be working as the graduate assistant at the University of Massachusetts LGBTQ Center. She would like to thank her amazing friends, partner, family, and Joanne Belknap for being an incredible support system and for never letting her give up during the sometimes challenging but incredibly rewarding journey. Hillary is looking forward to many more exciting adventures post-graduation. Chelsea Mullen. Chelsea is excited to be graduating in 4 years as a triple major. Yes, great. In anthropology, psychology, and women and gender studies. Next year, she will be entering a dual master's in social work and master's in child development program with New York University and Sarah Lawrence College. She is delighted to have the opportunity for further study in both of the subjects she loves. She would like to thank the incredible women of the Women's Resource Center for their love and support and for helping her grow into the feminist and activist she is today. Erica Munter. After 4 years, 6 volunteer positions, 2 jobs, over 20 student organizations, and a variety of life-changing experiences, Erica is excited to graduate with a BA in Sociology and Women and Gender Studies. She would like to thank all of the incredibly influential people in her life who have loved and supported her throughout this amazing journey. Next year, Erica plans on continuing her devotion to helping others through victim services and the nonprofit sphere. Jenna Rodney. After graduation, Jenna is continuing her work at a local nonprofit autism center, working with early childhood kids as a behavioral intervention therapist. She is having a commitment ceremony in September to her partner Michelle and looks forward to having more time to relax with her family. Rhiannon Priscilla. Rhiannon is glad to finally be finishing up her long, not-so-traditional journey to graduation with a double major in Women and Gender Studies and English Literature. She is excited to begin her work as a Notre Dame Mission AmeriCorps volunteer with the I Have a Dream Foundation of Boulder County's newest class of 3rd graders in the fall. She'd like to thank her mother, father, and partner Nick for the support, encouragement, and most of all, love. Without it, she wouldn't be standing here today. Jen Romero. Jen is graduating with a double major in ethnic studies. She says that the main thing she takes away from her college career is something that she holds dear to her heart from an inspirational Chicana lesbian feminist who has inspired her to live life in a new way. You change yourself, you change the world, by Gloria Anzaldué. Meg Stairs. After graduation, Meg will be moving into the children's section at the public library, where she will read juvenile fiction to her heart's content. She believes this is the only way she will muster the courage and perseverance she will need for medical school. Warner. Hannah is graduating with a degree in Women and Gender Studies and English Creative Writing. In the coming years, she plans on using her feminist knowledge and her job experience as the program director of CU's Radio 1190 to pursue careers in both writing and radio journalism. She would like to thank her mom, dad, and brother for their love and support throughout her college journey, because without them, she would be lost. All right, 2012 graduates, stand up. Together as a class, as those who have come before you, and hopefully the many who will follow you, you become graduates of the Women and Gender Studies program. You may now move your rainbow tassels from right to left. Congratulations to our graduates. In honor of this joyous occasion, we have a special treat today. Two are our amazingly talented graduates who will read an original poem that they have written. Please welcome on stage Malia Caldwell, who will be graduating in December, and Erica Hunter.
Hey Malia, what is a Women and Gender Studies major?
Feminazis,
Lesbian,
bring your bra,
man-haters,
separatists,
communists,
anarchists,
down with the man,
butch,
femme,
white women,
socialists,
arts and crafts majors,
unemployable,
hippies.
fat and ugly,
There sure ain't no Newt Gingrich.
softball players.
Man-eaters. We open up our hearts and our minds to the shades of gray and the words in between the lines, to the delicate intricacies that construct our gendered lens, and that our construction fully depends on the way we behave and operate and the meaning it sends. This is just the beginning, this isn't the end.
With no end in sight and always new beginnings, life is a continuum of all types, of all peoples and all beliefs. True, some less harmful than others. But find the strength to question all, open your heart like your mind, be content, know happy and proud of what you think.
We are thinkers, taught to criticize, analyze, theorize, and organize, as our brains begin to pressurize because we understand that the world objectifies the differences between girls and guys, that gender is socialized, as we begin to deconstruct the constructions of a world that values patriarchy and merchandise. So visualize a world of women and gender studies majors who are taught to recognize the lies and defy the disguise. In critical thinking we specialize, that is our life, our enterprise.
So stand up, speak out against the institutionalization and injustice. Find your voice deep within, find your strength and your power. Your friends and family, hand in hand, ally to all is the key. Stand for equity. Trust in yourself and your beliefs to do what you must, regardless of your fears. Be yourself, however cliche, but hey, it's graduation day.
So Erica, then what really is a women in gender studies major?
Activists,
Movers,
shakers,
lovers,
partners,
fathers,
mothers,
sisters,
brothers,
daughters,
lawyers,
and we still ain't no Newt Gingrich.
social workers,
Doctors,
secretaries of state,
housewives,
teachers,
inspirers,
liberators,
motivators,
diverse,
colors,
allies.
and the list goes on, but it doesn't matter how we identify, because
It's you.
and it's me, it's us. We are the Women in Gender Studies class of 2012.
Congratulations, everyone.
And on that note, we have now come to the end of the ceremony. But before I end, I would be remiss in not giving out a very special thank you to our administrative staff who helped to put on this graduation today. Congratulations to our graduates. and to our scholarship recipients, as well as the friends and families that have made this day possible. It is with some sadness, but also with great joy and expectation that we bid you adieu. I leave you with these final words. The first is an Audre Lorde quote that I have taken some small liberties with. Take care of yourselves. It's not a self-indulgence, it is self-preservation, and this is an act of political warfare. The second comes from much talk this year about superheroes. There are many types of superheroes, and each with unique super strength and costumes. So find which cape fits you best, and use your superpower to make a difference. We hope that you will all join us for a catered reception upstairs at the Heritage Center. Thank you, and congratulations to our graduates.